The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining. We still have people getting on the broadcast right now, but I did want to start at the top of the hour. My name is David Riggins. I'm the Director of Business Development with Cloud9, and the topic today is Desktop as a Service, also called DaaS. You've probably seen the acronym all over the place. So what is it, and how will it enable you to run your small and medium business software anywhere? I have about 25 slides. There are also going to be 2 or 3 polling questions where I seek to get your input and keep this interactive. I would expect the presentation to last about 30 minutes or so. If you have any questions, please just input those on the GoToWebinar chat, and I'll go ahead and do my best to answer those throughout the presentation, and then take a few minutes at the end to answer any that I missed. And if you would also like to get the slides sent to you, I can certainly do that, no problem at all. Just go ahead and email me, driggins@cloud9realtime.com. I also put that in the chat on the GoToWebinar. So let's go ahead and get started. So what is cloud computing? And really, desktop as a service is part of that, right? So it's a subset of the cloud. And the cloud is something all of us use in one way or another today. The cloud is also online banking, right? It's Netflix, it's video on demand. It's a lot of different services like Hulu. It's a lot of entertainment services. It's services that enable our businesses today. In my family, we live in what I like to call an on-demand world where we cut the cord. We no longer subscribe to cable TV, so we choose our own programming, and it's delivered via the cloud to our TV and other devices at home when we want it. We pay only for what we want, and we get for what we pay for. We're not overpaying for things we don't want, and that's really the beauty of the cloud and what the cloud can deliver to small and medium businesses today. If we go into the different types of cloud, desktop as a service is one of them, and there are other services that are part of the the cloud as a whole, like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and there's some other acronyms like software as a service, also called SaaS. But let's look at these individually. So IaaS, so infrastructure as a service. Really what it is computing resources only, right? So provisioning virtual machines, allocating storage, setting up load balancers, allocating IP addresses. It's really cloud for those with the IT chops to handle it, right? The IT people, the IT resources to be able to manage all of that hardware. So it's just providing a cloud resource for those, for those things. It's nothing else. But you really need the IT infrastructure, the IT personnel to really get the most out of an infrastructure as a service cloud. Now, platform as a service, PaaS, is a cloud computing that delivers applications over the internet. So the cloud provider delivers hardware and software tools. And a lot of times these tools are for application development. So software companies or technology companies are really looking for a provider to give them some infrastructure so it doesn't have to manage that infrastructure. And it provides those tools to its users. PaaS users are typically application development companies, like I said. And some examples of companies that provide this type of service is Amazon, and Salesforce.com. Demandforce is a platform that has PaaS offerings. And PaaS, again, is really again, it's intended for larger companies or very specialized development companies. For example, when deploying a typical business tool, you might require an IT team to buy and install hardware, the operating systems, all the middleware, the databases, and so forth to support that. But with this type of solution, with a PaaS solution, you don't need to do that. The company doesn't need to do that. There are many advantages to PaaS if you are that type of company that needs that solution. But if you're a small, medium business with fewer resources, then really DaaS, Desktop as a Service, which is our topic today, is really a better fit, right? It is a cloud service, which is the virtual desktop infrastructure. So virtual desktop infrastructure could be QuickBooks hosting. It could be Excel and Word provided through the cloud, Excel and Word applications to help you with your business, or some other application. So Cloud9 is a company that provides desktop as a service. The customer pays a monthly or annual fee for the service, and the service provider manages the back end, all the systems such as the data storage, right, the backup systems, security, and the upgrades, all the software that handles that. The data is automatically saved and copied to the cloud. The end user simply manages their own computer, their own local environment. So their IT support is minimal, if at all, because again, you just need really a dummy terminal, because all the software is residing in the cloud, and it's just being streamed to that local computer. So you need to keep that local computer up to date, but most of us that aren't IT experts, I'm certainly not an IT expert, I can handle keeping my local computer updated by downloading the latest browser updates and that kind of thing. You don't need IT support necessarily for a DaaS offering like Cloud9 provides or other companies provide. Again, it's perfect for small and medium businesses with few or no IT resources. So we know the cloud is working for small and medium businesses, and it's also getting big. It's obviously something that is working, and it's clearly here to stay. It's become massive in terms of the number of users, as you can see in some of the numbers I have on the screen, as well as the dollar value. I mean, we see over $240 billion today in revenue that's associated with cloud services, and then the number of users. So there's something like 1.3 billion users today that are using various cloud services. And you can see the U.S. is number 3 on the list in terms of cloud usability. And you may notice that China and India aren't even listed there. Those are the two most populous countries in the world. And imagine when those countries, with their mass and the number of people who live there, start using the cloud. When the cloud becomes more ubiquitous among people in Asia, it's only going to get bigger. It's obviously, again, here to stay. So what is the cloud made of, right? There's obviously the hardware. There's the infrastructure, right? So you've got the redundant routers and switches, the load balancers. You have the applications running, the software, right? The software running that powers your business. The servers, which are the brains and really serving up the applications, and then the storage, right? The disk space that is available in the cloud on these virtual servers that is storing your data. And today, what you're also seeing is things like flash storage, so not your old traditional disks on servers that we used to see, but you see flash storage, so you see smarter, intelligent storage. You see data being replicated in a enterprise-type environment like this, where the data is stored in other locations, even physical locations. So if there is some sort of outage, if there is some sort of damage to the physical hardware, then your data is still there. You can still access your data, and that's really one of the key things that the cloud can provide, and we're all familiar with. But this is typically what the cloud is made of, and obviously it's a very simplified diagram. It gives you a sense, and I think it's helpful for people to see this, and certainly helpful for me. It allows you to kind of think about, wow, there's actually something behind all of this, and gosh, if you get a chance to actually go to a data center and see, go into a data center and actually see the hardware, see all of the massive pipes and infrastructure coming into a data center, it's really well worth your time. And I think it can even, if you have concerns about the cloud, it can even put your mind at rest a little bit. And I think that's a good time to start one of our polls. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that right now, the first poll. So look for that on your screen. And the question is, what are your concerns about using the cloud? So not everyone's using the cloud today, certainly. I know some people are concerned about security, and that was really probably the biggest concern I saw a few years ago, but that's gone down a bit. Cost is certainly a concern, so thanks everyone for voting. It looks like we're getting most people to vote. Security, this is surprising. Our last poll on this question a few weeks back, security wasn't as high concern, but it looks like it is for most of you today. About 75% are saying security is the biggest concern. Thanks again for voting. And then cost is of concern. And then third, it looks like there's several concerns. So speed, will it work as advertised? Speed and will it work as advertised are definitely the least, but cost and security are definitely up there. So let me go ahead and close that poll out and go to the next slide here. So you've got desktop as a service, or you're considering desktop as a service. And if you have a desktop as a service cloud offering, it can enable you to access your software from anywhere, really literally from any device. It's device agnostic, right, because the data, the applications sit in the cloud, so you can access the cloud from your phone, from your desktop computer, obviously, your laptop computers, tablets, possibly other devices down the road, right, such as a watch, right? We've seen the release of the Apple Watch, which certainly isn't the first to market. There are several other watches out there for a while now. But you're even seeing a lot of technology in cars now, right? A technology like tablets, like I know Tesla, for example. If you get in a Tesla, if you've ever seen a Tesla in one of their showrooms, it has a tablet in the middle console between the driver and passenger seats. And I can see just a few years down the road, if not now, maybe it's available now, but you could literally get your application data right there, right? You can log into your cloud from there. I know you can already access the internet from your cloud, right? Wi-Fi is enabled in a lot of new cars coming out, so you get access on your iPad or other device, your laptop, while you're in your car. But I mean, I think we're moving to a world in not too long where literally from any device in any location, we'll be able to access our data. Certainly, the licensing is going to have to catch up. Companies like Intuit are certainly going to need to look at their licensing models and think about this new world. Are you ready, Intuit? Because I think it's coming. It's only a matter of time. So the DaaS environment that Cloud9 provides is really two flavors. The first is a shared environment. It's really a cookie-cutter QuickBooks environment. So if you're just looking for QuickBooks hosting, a shared environment is really a perfect fit for you. It supports a couple other applications too, like Bill.com, Smart Vault, and even Spring Ahead if you need it. And this is an offering that, if you look at the diagram at the bottom there, it's allowing multiple companies to share resources, right? So it's going to be company A, company B, company C, all going into the same server, accessing the same resources on that server, but all of their data, all the data is segmented. So company A obviously is not going to see company B data, their QuickBooks files or their other data files. and company C can't see, company B or A. It's all the data is segmented. It's all encrypted. It's totally secure. So shared environment is perfect for small companies looking for a very simple cookie cutter solution, and the shared environment can provide that. The other environment is a private virtual server. It's a DaaS, desktop as a service offering that can be completely customizable. So you can have literally any application you want that can run on our platform, Windows Server 2008 or 2012, and we can host it. We can provide that application delivered to you on any device anywhere. So it's desktop as a service on demand, your application completely customized to your need. It lives, the virtual server lives in our data center, and again, access from anywhere, and only your resources. So unlike the shared environment, the private environment is only your company accessing the data. So it's going to be a bit faster. It's going to have a better performance as a result, because all of the resources on that server are for that company only, and no other company. Again, all of the data is secure and encrypted, just like in the shared environment, but only only available to that one company. The private virtual server is the best and ideal solution for most small businesses. This is the Cadillac of DaaS, desktop as a service, the private virtual server. And again, it doesn't matter what device, any device. C9 Mobile is an app that Cloud9 has that allows you to access your Cloud9 environment on an iPad or an iPad mini. For Androids, for Androids or iPhone devices, RD Client, it's called RD, Remote Desktop, RD. It's the most commonly used and recommended solution, and I use RD Client on my iPhone. I have an iPhone 6, and I had a 4 before, and RD Client runs great on either iPhone. It's a 4-inch screen, which isn't ideal to work on when I'm on my iPhone and when I'm traveling. Perhaps that's why my sight is getting worse, and I had to adjust my glasses recently. I had to get a new pair because my sight is leaving me, probably looking at my iPhone too much. But it's really effective for just being able to log in and look at data, right? So you're not going to probably work on your iPhone, but if you have an application like RD Client that allows you to access your cloud, you can get at your data that's on the cloud, and you can verify it. You can actually look at that data and then get back to your client or your customer, whoever needs to know what that information is. It's extremely fast, and it's very easy to do. And of course, you can also access via web browser. So this is what it looks like when you're logging in on Internet Explorer. So you can log in, you can see the desktop applications there as icons. And again, we're talking about desktop application hosting, right? You can, of course, have a SaaS, a software as a service application hosted elsewhere, and you can have it connect to one of these desktop applications. And we fully support that, right? So you could have QuickBooks or Lacert or Sage, one of these other applications, and have it connected to some other service, some other cloud, and again, fully supported by Cloud9. We have hundreds of customers with that type of setup. They use Bill.com or Intuit, some sort of Intuit payment network software connected, or a bank software connected to their accounting software or their small business software, and it's fully supported. So the cloud, we know the benefits to the cloud. But if you boil them down, there's really five key things. Implementing a DaaS cloud really boils down to them. Cost savings, right? Security, the ability to collaborate, mobility, the ability to access your data wherever you are, and then differentiating your business, setting yourself apart from your competitors, which can help you grow your business or even simply safeguard your business by deploying better security methods and other benefits of cloud computing. So for cost savings, the average lifespan of a server is 5 years, and that's actually, I think, on the conservative side, or excuse me, on the liberal side. I mean, I know folks who get servers every 18 months, every 2 years. But if we use 5 years as the number, it's still expensive. There's a lot of upfront costs for hardware. It impacts your cash flow when you have to buy hardware. Whereas a cloud solution, a desktop as a service solution, will deliver predictable costs every month, every quarter, every year. No surprises, right? You know exactly what it's going to cost. You're not going to have emergency trips for extra hardware if a server breaks, if you need a new hard drive, if you need some sort of new device. You simply don't when you go with a DaaS solution, because we're providing all that for you. Cloud has minimal upfront costs, right? And all your maintenance and upgrades are performed by the vendor, by Cloud9 or a comparable company. Support's included, like I said. Now, if you look at this, you know, on a graph like this, the cost of on-premise versus hosted. So on-premise would be having your own server, right? And that's the orange bars from 1 to 5 years from left to right, and the blue is a hosted service, so it's predictable, right? So the costs to consider for owning your hardware are things like, you know, the hardware itself, right? The server itself, the server operating system, the database software maintenance costs for all the software that you have on that server, which is usually about 20% of the license costs for that software application. Backup hardware, any personnel costs that keep all of this running as it should. All of those costs are factored in when you look at the graph here. You can see the first year is much higher because you have that initial server purchase, and then it gets more predictable over time with a premise-based solution, but still much higher than a hosted solution. With a hosted solution, again, it's predictable. Your first year is a bit higher due to transition costs like data migration and training. But if you look at years 2 through 5, it's pretty much the same. What business doesn't want to save money, right? Which, you know, but why aren't we doing more of it? I mean, it seems obvious, right? If you could spend a few $100s less on your IT, on your hardware, and spend it in a marketing program to grow your business instead of IT services. Wouldn't that be great? What business wouldn't want a predictable bill for IT services? Spend more time and less money on what you love and you're good at, not IT. So I think that's another good stopping point to ask another question, and this is just really for us to get an understanding of who who attends these types of webinars and how big your company is, so we can make the content more relevant to you. Most of our customers are in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 employees. We have a huge number, however, that are much smaller. It's really a bell shape. So at the front of the bell-shaped curve, we've got 0 to 5 users. In the middle, the majority, like I said, are about 10 to 15, and then at the end, we've got several customers, dozens of customers that are much bigger. But generally, a desktop as a service offering like we provide is ideal for companies with less than 10 employees, and it looks like that's what we have on the call today, is mostly companies with less than 10 employees. So a desktop as a service offering would be ideal. I'm going to go ahead and close that, and I'll share that with you so you can see the results. I hope you can see that. It looks like majority of you had less than 5, and then the balance had 6 to 10 employees. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that. and then go to the next slide and talk a bit about security. So if you look at these pictures, it's good to have a bit of levity when you're talking about cloud security. Hard drive on the right there looks like it's being mangled by a dog while this guy's on his phone. And it's no joke, right? It's scary when you've got your data at risk, whether it be on a local local device or in the cloud. How secure is it? And that's a common question I get at shows, at trade shows we go to and other events regarding security. How secure is your cloud? And it's a fair question. It's a question I would ask of any provider. If Sony Corporation and the U.S. government can be breached, how safe is your data center? It's obviously a question to ask, and it's completely fair. But would you keep your money under the mattress? Probably not. Then why would you keep your data in-house, other than what you think might be peace of mind? But what would happen in a disaster, which I know it doesn't happen very often, right? But what if it did happen? With a cloud provider like Cloud9, a desktop as a service solution, you're getting top-notch security features. You're getting 256-bit encryption, like I've talked about. You've got mirror disk imaging, which just means that we've got multiple, we've got backups and multiple systems in place should there be failures. Redundancies across the board in the infrastructure, 24/7 monitoring, and automatic nightly backups, which could even be hourly backups if you want. So you can set any sort of backup schedule you want. A recent study on disaster recovery concluded that companies that didn't use the cloud had to rely on tape backup methods and complicated procedures to recover their data. And these are slow, laborious things which cloud users simply don't use. And having a system like that simply slows your business down. So think about the cloud for security and how it can actually free up some of your time. So what I like to ask people who ask that very good question about how safe your cloud is what would happen to your business if you were on-premise server and your on-premise backups were destroyed, or your off-premise backups went missing. The vendor who said they were providing this to you and automatically backing up your data lost them, or if the data was corrupted somehow. It can happen. So how would that impact your business? Collaboration is another really important thing in what desktop as a service can provide. Obviously, cloud obviously provides a multi-user environment, which allows an accountant or small business owner, their employees and their customers to access the same files at the same time. A survey by Frost & Sullivan found that companies which invested in collaboration technology had a 400% return on investment. So it obviously is something that is helping companies. If a company doesn't use the cloud, workers have to send files back and forth over email, meaning only one person can work on a file at a time, and the same document has many of names and formats. So it can actually possibly confuse people, corrupt files, and just slow the pace of business down. Cloud computing keeps all the files in one central location, and everyone works off of one central copy. Employees can even chat with each other while they're making changes on the data. So this whole process makes collaboration stronger, which increases efficiency, and at the end of the day, it really improves companies' bottom line. So collaboration is really a key hallmark and a huge benefit to cloud computing and desktop as a service. Another is mobility, and mobility is growing at a tremendously fast pace. You probably heard the last quarter Apple posted record sales, and 18 billion in profits with a B. Obviously, incredible number. No company has ever achieved a number this big. Over half of their revenues were driven by sales of the iPhone. iPhone drives their business, it really does. They sold close to 75 million iPhones in the quarter. Clearly, mobility isn't going away. So provide a mobile solution to your clients to keep them happy and allow you to see benefits of the cloud. The cloud powers mobility. As long as employees have internet access, they can work from anywhere, right? The flexibility also positively affects workers' work-life balance and productivity. There's one study recently I read where 42% of working adults would give up some of their salary if they could telecommute, and on average they would take a 6% pay cut. So it's not going to just improve your ability to get back to clients faster, colleagues faster, but can also make everyone in your company much happier. It's a great way to stay productive and be able to access your data from anywhere at any time. So the cloud can also make you different, right? It can separate your company from others. The trend in manufacturing in the last few years has been made in the U.S., and that was really a reaction to products being made in China over the previous 20, 30 years. So if your product is U.S. made, it's unique. I mean, I'm wondering if that's still as strong a trend. It seems to be from what I've seen when I go out shopping. The cloud will enable you to differentiate yourself from your competitors. It may even allow you to gain that new client who wouldn't have looked at your solution otherwise. It may enable you to get more out of your business so you can take chances on your business and get to the next level. The cloud grants SMBs access to enterprise-class technology. It allows smaller business to act faster than big established competitors. The cloud will enable you to differentiate yourself and really get your business to the next level, as I've talked about before. So those are the 5 main benefits, I believe, to the cloud and a desktop as a service offering. I'm going to go ahead and launch the final poll. How are you using cloud today for your business? So please vote. Again, thanks so much for voting. Really appreciate it. Information is helpful for us, and hopefully it will help us better manage these webinars in the future. So thanks everyone for voting. It looks like we've got a mix: data storage, application hosting, data backup, and security are the most common usage of the cloud. And an environment like Cloud9 is really providing all of those except application development, right? So we're storing your data, hosting the applications, automatic backup, security is all part of that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. I'll share it so you guys can see the results. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see how the cloud is being used and how it's evolved over time. So if you're considering jumping on the cloud, or if you're already on the cloud and you're wondering how good your provider is, these checklists we've created, which I'm going to show you here in a second, will hopefully help. Maybe if you're considering leaving a current provider, or you want to make sure the provider you're with is doing all they can and they are adding value to what you're trying to do outside of simply taking your money. So you want to understand who your users are, right? How do they access their their applications and their data. Are they typically working at home? Are they on the road? What type of applications are they accessing? Are they SaaS or desktop applications? How much storage does each user need? Is there a lot of old data that needs to be archived? What are your concerns about that that data? Is some of it probably better stored locally? And typically, we recommend you store 3 to 6 months of data in the cloud. So just your most recent data, so the data you need to get at all the time. Archive data you can keep on an older device, right? An older server or an on-premise, some kind of on-premise hard drive. You don't need to put all that old data that's several years old in the cloud. It's too costly. Some of the technology essentials you're going to want to think about for going to the cloud or while you're in the cloud is how fast your internet is. If your internet isn't fast enough, you're not going to see very good results. So we typically recommend a 1 to 3 megabit download speed per user. You want to make sure, ideally, you have a redundant internet connection at your business or your home. Obviously, your home, you may not have it. Maybe you have a wired and a wireless, or you have a Wi-Fi. So that's certainly ideal. Want to make sure that the computers you're using to access the cloud have the latest versions of Windows or Mac operating systems, as well as the software to access, such as RD Client. Make sure you have the latest version of RD Client to access the cloud on your iPhone or your Android device. Make sure if you're with a current vendor or you're looking at a cloud provider for a DaaS solution, that they have a disaster recovery plan and they've got backup plans. Understand where the data centers are located. What happens if one of their data centers goes down? Do they have the data replicated across those data centers? If they only have one data center, that might be of concern. They may not have a true disaster recovery plan that would be able to recover fast enough. So understand those backup plans. Make sure they're accredited managed service provider. Make sure they've got SOC 2 SSAE certified data centers. Make sure if they're going to be hosting QuickBooks, they're authorized. QuickBooks is strict about their licensing. Intuit's strict about their licensing. So if you're with a host that isn't Intuit QuickBooks certified, they might shut that host down. It would be violating the QuickBooks license agreement otherwise. Make sure they've got service level agreements. They're in alignment with your business objectives, right? Make sure if there are outages that that you understand what that means. Are there extra fees for storage? Are there any applications they limit? Application limits at Cloud9 are typically audio or video heavy. So if you have something that has, like a Pandora application, we're not going to let you have that in the cloud. And most businesses can just run that locally if they want to run that type of application. You wouldn't want to run it in the cloud. But you want to think about any applications that you have to have in the cloud, and if a vendor has any limitations. Understand, what level of server administration access you're going to have, if at all. Some cloud platforms give you more access than others. So a desktop as a service gives you not a lot, because most desktop as a service offerings or companies that are looking for them don't want server administration access. They simply want to hand that off to the provider like Cloud9 and let them handle that. Whereas an infrastructure as a service or a platform as a service cloud, they might want server access. Understand if there are any additional license fees outside of the software license fees you have today. Will the service support multiple monitors? Cloud9 can support up to 16 monitors, and we've got clients that have 8 monitors running applications in the cloud at the same time. A couple of these are redundant. I'm going to have to delete these off. And that's really it. So the Cloud9 solution, if you don't already know it, is a custom, it's a custom virtual server. We also have the shared environment. I talked a bit about it. one huge advantage to a solution like ours is there aren't any connection managers. So as you saw from the screenshots before, if you're accessing from the web, it's an icon on your desktop, or if it's just a desktop icon, even if you're not accessing via the web, if you're accessing via remote desktop connection. So it's very simple. It's seamless. It's like you're accessing the same application. There's really just one simple step to connecting to the cloud, and that's it. We can private label. I've talked about hosting. We're over actually 700 applications, not 500. And again, the apps are streaming to your PC, so it feels like it's local. It doesn't feel like it's coming from the cloud. There's really no latency as long as your internet speed is up to snuff. Access anytime, anywhere, and backups and support and updates are all included. So that's really it, everyone. I want to thank you so much for your time. I hope it was helpful. Just before I sign off, I want to tell you a little bit about a user conference we have coming up. It's called Cloud Fest 2015, not Cloud Summit. I'm going to have to update this slide as well. And it's going to be in August at Paradise Point in San Diego. We'd love to see you come out if you want to learn more about the cloud, or if you're a current cloud customer and you want to get more out of the cloud. Please reach out to us. You can find more information about CloudFest at cloudfest2015.com. And again, feel free to email me, driggins, D-R-I-G-G-I-N-S, at cloud9realtime.com if you have any questions whatsoever, or you do want a copy of these slides. Thanks so much and have a great day.